dominating performance against Texas El Paso today. Iowa is poised to move back into the top 10 next week. Tony Powers has the highlights.
The Hawks came within 1 point of the school scoring record, walloping the Miners 69-7, but Iowa's entire starting backfield had to leave the game with injury. Iowa fullback David Hudson, here breaking loose on an apparent touchdown run, suddenly pulls up lame with a leg injury. Iowa quarterback Mark Vlasic rifled 2 touchdown passes to Robert Smith of 34 and 25 yards, but he suffered a shoulder injury and gave way to backup Dan McGwire, who threw 2 TD passes of his own of 54 and 59 yards to Devin Harberts. Running back Rick Bayless, who rushed for 127 yards, suffered an arm injury. The Hawkeyes piled up 619 yards total offense. Iowa's defense, again, very tough. UTEP finished with a minus 30 yards rushing. The Hawks have now scored 169 points in 3 games while giving up just 17. They should make the top 10 next week. From Iowa City.
Players, so let's take a look. The Hawks scored on their very first drive of the game, set up by a nice 23-yard run by Rick Bayless. A couple of plays later, David Hudson got a 1-yard TD. The PAT was no good for a 6-0 tally. Bayless eventually did score himself early in that first period, and a 2-point conversion made it 14-0. The Hawks continued to pour it on. Mark Vlasic hooked up with Robert Smith, who made a difficult over-the-shoulder catch and ran on in for a 34-yard scoring connection, 21-0. Vlasic, Bayless, and Hudson all left the game with injuries. Hudson's appears to be the most serious, a muscle injury to his leg. Before leaving the game with a sore shoulder, Vlasic completed 9 of 12 passes for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns. Iowa's number 2 quarterback, Dan McGwire, also passed for 2 scores, and Bayless ended with 127 yards. Iowa takes its 3-0 mark to Michigan State next week.
Great gold against the Hawks Saturday, but the Hawkeyes struck back with a crushing defense and an unstoppable offense. The Hawks buried the Miners 69-7 on the Hayden Fry Show tonight. On location, Hayden Fry Show. We've been all around the premises as far as football locations are concerned, and right now we're in the outer lobby of the new football offices. And toward the end of the show, we're going to take a good look around. Well, Coach, as you took a good look around the field today, the scoreboard showed 69-7 as far as the outcome of that game. You had 6 sacks, 4 interceptions, 2 recovered fumbles, 619 yards in total offense. You lead the nation, and yet I know you're not happy.
Well, Jim, you know, I'm extremely pleased with the effort and the enthusiasm our football team played with, but it was a very costly game. David Hudson, our big fullback, one of the greatest football players I've ever seen, he's just a sophomore, was on his way to becoming the all-time long-distance runner in the history of Iowa football, and he did what they call an explosion of the quadricep. He was out about 40 yards on his way to a 94 or 95 yard, maybe a 96-yard run, and this thing just exploded on him. He had to pull over the sideline after about 50 or 60 yards, and it looks like David would be lost for 3, possibly 4 weeks. And Mark Vlasic, our number 1 quarterback, received a very deeply bruised shoulder, and he'll be questionable for the game next week with Michigan State.
Was there anything good about the game? You won it.
Yeah, all of our number 3s and 4s, really, this is the 3rd week we've played over 70 players, and they got a lot of valuable experience. Our number 2s now are improving so much, it's difficult to find a drop-off between the 1 and the 2s. On the other hand, it was sad to defeat a team that badly. We threw less passes than any time in my career at Iowa. We threw a total of 4 times in the 3rd quarter, none in the 4th quarter, and you know, our guys were playing with such enthusiasm, running the football, we scored a lot of points.
And your defense played a fantastic game once again. We'll talk about that, and we'll show that David Hudson run a little bit later. But right now, let's talk about young Mr. Bayless. Picked up where he left off a week ago, right?
Well, he did. Kevin Harmon was injured last week. We started Rick Bayless, a one-time walk-on. He rushed for 167 yards last week on 8 carries. This week, he had another phenomenal game. He only played the first half, and we took him out. But you can see the great balance and utilizing his blockers. I think you made a statement earlier. He reminds you a lot of Eddie Podolak.
He does. Yeah.
That's David Hudson, the big fullback, scoring the first touchdown. And early in the game, the University of Texas El Paso, I thought, was very competitive. They played very hard, but the humidity and the heat just wore them out.
Howland missed his kick, one of the rare ones, after 40 straight that he'd missed to tie the record. But he made it up later, and we will take a look at that. But now here's the punt, blocked by Tyrone Taylor, I believe.
That's right. We've been working hard. You know, last week, Jim, we were blocking the punter, and this week we blocked the ball, and we were extremely happy. We think we're going to be able to block quite a few punts this year.
Here's Vlasic.
Mark Vlasic, the first half, had an excellent game. He completed 9 of 12 for 135 yards. That's a pass to Jim Morrow. Great blocking here, off-tackle play, and that's Rick Bayless, number 13, running hard right down to the goal line.
13 is a good luck for him. Now watch this play. After the score, Bayless goes over for the TD. Now Pahalski, who's the holder, number 14. And there it is as he takes the ball, passes into the end zone. David Hudson, 2 points, right?
That's right. We'd missed the extra point by Houghton. I might mention, Jim, he didn't work out all week. Our kicker had a sore leg.
All right, now here is the David Hudson play. Look at him in clear field, on his way.
242 pounds. He's on his way. And that little fella chasing weighs 157 pounds. He might have ridden piggyback. You see what David pulls up right there. Just really tragic.
Really is. Really is. Really is. Okay, here's Vlasic. Picture-perfect pass.
Beautiful play to Robert Smith, and we're happy to see Robert come back. You recall he dropped 2 or 3 balls last week, and our little sprinter from Dallas, Texas, caught 2 balls in the ball game, both of them for a beautiful touchdown.
Here's a replay, Hayden, on that one.
Robert has a 10.2 100-meter speed, and he's from Dallas Spruce, and phenomenal receiver.
That was a 34-yard pass. Now we're going to see the Iowa defense come front and center.
Well, this may be the best thing we do, Jim. Fortunately, we didn't get a lot of people bruised on defense, and our defense will have to play a great game next week against Michigan State.
Now, they did get some passes in there, but they only got 1 touchdown.
Well, I'll tell you, Sammy Garza, number 15, you see that strike.
Yeah.
He's got a beautiful touch on the ball. He's got some excellent receivers. Little number 7 runs a 10.2 100-meter. The big tight end played a great game.
He's a pretty tough kid, isn't he?
There's Richard Bass, the backup to Hudson at fullback. Richard's about 5'8", weighs 205, and extremely quick, and he's really made progress.
Okay, the Hawkeyes now with the football, and they're...
Well, he's audibleizing right now, Jim, and all those big linemen did a great job protecting Mark Vlasic. And Jimmy Morrow played another fine game. Well, we had another outstanding walk-on come on, a youngster by the name of Devin Hobart, who is number 16.
Okay, here's a picture-perfect pass again. Smith.
Great catch for Robert Smith in the end zone.
It's
the only
tremendous.
2 passes he caught.
And that's a tough pass to catch. Houtland now kicks the PAT, and now we go back to action. Look at this one.
Diving interception, I believe, by Kerry Burt, number 3.
Right.
From Waterloo, Iowa. He played a great ball game.
He sure did.
We've got Kevin Harmon in the ball game. He missed last week, full hamstring. He re-injured his hamstring in this game, Jim, and he couldn't play the second half. But while he's in there, you'll see a touchdown run by Kevin right here.
That's right. Kevin Harmon coming up for the TD.
Richard Bass at fullback, a tremendous block. All those big linemen, Chris Gamble, Dave Croston, Herb Wester, Bob Cratch, Mark Sindlinger, all those youngsters did an excellent job, and the best block today was by Mike Flagger, big tight end.
And so now look at that hit. Look at that hit.
Kerry Burt, Kerry's strong safety. He's 6'3", 208 pounds, so he's like having another linebacker.
Okay, that's a pass to Atkinson for a gain of 14.
Keaton Smiley and Kenny Sims, that are defensive cornerbacks, had outstanding.
Now look
game.
at the pressure.
Right, that's big Kyle Crow coming in for the tackle. Kyle's our free safety. He goes 6'4", 212.
Oh, look at that.
That's J.J. Puck, and all of the defensive ends played an excellent game. I'm not sure if that's Mike Burke or possibly Bruce
I think
Gear.
it's Burke that's got that. And here we have a fumble.
Great hit by Crow and Burke, knocking the ball loose.
Covered by Pryor, I believe.
Richard Pryor recovered the fumble. Marshall Cotton from Davenport, Iowa. Nice run on the screen pass. We did a good job of mixing up our plays and keeping UTEP off balance.
There's a pass to your tight end.
Pass to Craig Clark.
Gain of 11.
This is an off-tackle play. Harmon was hurt. We had to put Bayless back in. Excellent job of running again. Good downfield blocking.
Okay, and right now they're down about the 4-yard line, and watch this run by Bayless. Talk about bouncing off of guys. Look at that.
Now, Rick is a phenomenal athlete, and he gains more confidence each ball game.
Now we're nearing the end of the first half.
A great pressure by John Breves, Jeff Dross, David Haight, Steve Thomas, all of the interior linemen I thought did an exceptional job. I think they ended up with minus yardage rushing again, Jim.
Minus 30, I think it was.
Minus
rushing.
30.
Total of 150 overall, all that by passing. Okay, well, you saw the defense, you saw the injury situation. I know that you had to be a little dispirited going in at halftime, but you had a tremendous lead. How do you balance all those things out in talking to a squad?
Well, you have to be very careful that the football team doesn't become overconfident and let up. That's when young men are normally injured, unless it's just a freak accident like David Hudson. He's running down the field. He could have been injured running pregame warm-up. Just an unusual type situation. But you have to make sure the players aren't overconfident. They go out and play the game just like it's 0-0. And as you know, that's exactly what they did the second half.
Sure did. The Hawks got 28 more points in the second half. We'll show you all of those points. You stay tuned. He got what amounts to a final score, 41-7, but it's only halftime. He got another half to play. He got 387 yards of offense, and I think they had less than 50 yards total offense. Now, what do you deal mainly with your third and fourth string? Going out for the second half, or what?
Well, we have to talk to the first unit in regards to making a good drive the second half to take away the initial momentum of the other team. And that's what we did, and all of our players knew that as soon as our first team made the drive, then everyone else would be able to play a lot of football. But, you know, we had gotten in over 60 players in the first half.
And that was a hot day out there, Saturday.
It was very, very hot, very humid. And, of course, this is where we really had the advantage over UTEP. Our players are big and strong, but we have so many of them as opposed to maybe 4 or 5 really quality players on their ball club. They had to play the whole game. In fact, I think you noticed number 15, Garza, the quarterback, he was still in the game on the last play.
He sure was, and he's a tough kid, as we said. They got to give him credit for that. Okay, and here he is once again. Garza running for his life, as usual.
Very well-executed play. He has a tremendous arm. As going into the game, Jim, as you know, he'd thrown for over 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns in 4 games.
He'd also been thrown for a loss a few times, and here we see him, like a trapped rabbit.
We got a tremendous rush and pursuit by our linemen and our ends.
Okay, now, Vlasic didn't play the last half, and here's your big guy, 6'8", McGwire. Watch him.
Picture perfect pass, a strike, and that's a walk-on wide receiver, Devlin Hobart. And I think he pronounced it Harberts. We call him Hobart. But he
From
was great.
Walnut, Iowa.
Walnut, Iowa. I saw his father immediately after the game. He's a coach. He's a high school coach, and he was so proud of his son and had every reason to be proud of him. You can tell he's really a long strider.
He is.
And he surprised UTEP by running right by their secondary.
Right.
Inside play, Tim Anderson and all of the second group on defense did a fine job. I was going to say, Jim, that Schuster didn't suit up Joe Schuster. Look at that interception there.
Terry Bird once again. Well, he had a game, didn't he?
All of our strong safeties for years have been first team All Big Ten, and Kerry Bird has taken up right where the Stoops family left off in last year, Jay Norvell.
He turned from a defensive back into an offensive halfback there. And now we have Marshall Cotton.
Marshall's always good for a lot of yards. He doesn't have many opportunities. But look at him run. You know that rascal weighs 226 now.
I know.
So he's pretty big.
And that time he tried for a little extra yardage and fumbled the 13-yard gain, recovered by Baker.
Notice the excellent protection up front.
So now we go to further action. Watch this.
Dan McGwire comes back to the number 3 receiver on that particular route.
Here's Harberts again. Now watch this run, Hayden. I thought he was out of bounds. They're going to be tackled. Got away.
Yeah, tremendous job by Delvin to score his second touchdown. He catches 2 passes. He scores twice. McGwire throws a couple, and he throws 2 TDs.
54 yards. Scrambled again. Great defense. That was Pryor once again. He had a great game, didn't
he? He had an outstanding game. Well, we started Joe Mott ahead of him, so he was motivated a little bit.
Okay, and here's Garza again fighting for his life, and that was Mike Haight, I think, or Dave Haight.
Dave Haight from Dyersville, Iowa. We've got the ball again. I think this is probably the last one the big guy throws. Our receiver ran behind the defender rather than cutting in front and got an interception.
Well, I guess you can't be perfect. You only threw 3 passes, 2 of them went for touchdowns. That's not a bad average.
Well, he completed all 3. That's 1,000%. Great pressure. Great pressure.
Guys are throwing for a loss of 9. Once again, Dave Haight, playing off the nose, doing a great job. Now let's watch number 33, young Mr. Ringer. He's another budding star for you.
Kevin Ringer, recruited out of Ellsworth Junior College. He set the state record in the 100-yard dash in the state of Ohio, out of Dayton, I believe.
That takes some doing because they've had guys going way back to Jesse Owens, who are great sprinters over there.
But they didn't run as scared as this guy. Right. Ringer is one of the cutest young men we've ever had. Now, I nicknamed him Ding-a-ling to go along with the Ringer, and watch him run.
Oh, look at that.
He's got what we call dancing feet.
He does. There's no ding-a-ling there. He moves it. He's going to run for a touchdown pretty soon there.
He's not going to let you get a good shot at him, that's for sure. Here's one of my favorite people, Tom Polhusky, sophomore, redshirt sophomore, from St. Louis, running the option play, and right down to the goal line. And here's another one of my favorite people, Grant Goodman, going high, up and over for the touchdown.
He gets in there. Iowa now leads 62-7. But the action continues.
I tell you have to have a program to recognize all these folks now, Jim, I'm telling you. That was a great move by the quarterback, and that's one of the Stoops boys. That's
still
Mark
another Stoops, huh?
Right. But Garza had gone across the line of scrimmage for throwing the ball. But a great interception by Mark Stoops.
Okay, let's watch.
This is Ringer on the draw play. I think Kevin Ringer really developed some confidence in this ball game.
And now watch him here. He's got to have confidence on this one. Look at that guy move.
Well, this was designed to run out the clock, and look what he does. He runs it all the way to the end zone for another score.
33 yards by number 33.
We'd given the quarterbacks from midway through the third quarter on not to throw the football, and they obeyed that. But as the game progressed, UTEP was aware that we weren't going to throw the ball anymore because of the score, and so they started putting nearly everyone up on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, but you can't force them not to run into the end zone if they see the end zone there, can you?
Well, that's what's so amazing, you know, that Kevin got into the end zone with the ball.
Okay, well, Hayden, once again, you dominated the stats. You'll lead the nation again. There's no question about it this week, offensively and defensively. We're going to talk about the Michigan State thing coming up. But what, outside of injuries, what pleased you about the ball game? What did you do well? Of course, your defense obviously played very well.
Well, Jim, you know, anytime you score over 50 points, you have to be pleased with the offensive production. But our defensive thing keeps catching my eye. And as long as our defense keeps playing that well, we've got a chance against anyone we play, regardless of the injuries, because, you know, we may play to a tie, but the other team's got to score in order to win. And our defense has got a lot of pride. We've got some key injuries right now, but we've got a great attitude. We've got a great bunch of young men. I think that we'll have a positive attitude going into the Michigan State game.
We'll talk about that in more detail. We're going to kind of show you around the office here. You see, you'd like to see where the Hawkeyes work is taking place, and we'll show you that. And then subsequent weeks, we're going to show you Hayden's office and everything else. These are where your trusty secretaries work, Hayden, and about Rita and Amy and Debbie and all those great gals. You said those guys work so hard they take their typewriters with them when they go to the Rose Bowl. I thought that was a great line.
Well, they do. They actually do, Jim, because we're right in the middle of recruiting season when we go to a bowl game, and we have the greatest secretarial staff in the world, and, you know, I just can't say enough about the tremendous job that they do. We're
showing this to partly show you, sure, football is playing fields, it's footballs, it's gear, it's locker rooms, but it's also organization, right?
That's right, and we do a lot of work. All the secretaries operate the computer. We have probably got over 900 recruits or prospects on the computer at this time, Jim.
And right back here, we have a trophy that we're going to look at. That's the Cy-Hawk Trophy. You've been the winner of that for 3 straight years, as well as a lot of other trophies for the Peach Bowl and everything else that you've won through the years. But Hayden, on screening recruits, and that is done right here in this office, how many to start off with? 900, you say?
Well, last year we had well in excess of 900. I think Dale Miller, our recruiting coordinator, said we had 927 names from across the nation. And of that 927, we will actually invite 65 or 70 to visit the campus. And from that, we will give out some 21 or 2, you know, scholarships.
Okay, well, obviously, and here's some of the result of all that hard effort, hard work, some of the trophies. Why don't you tell us what we're looking at right here?
Well, as soon as it comes into view, I'll tell you. Now, that's an old-timer there, Jim. You have to tell me what that is. That's one that the secretaries got out of the closet, and we got Bill Derby to break out his cleaning
Well,
fluid
there's
and
the
clean it up.
Cy-Hawk, and then we had the Peach Bowl also.
That's one that is awarded for the winner of the Iowa football game. And I would assume we're probably going to have a shot of Floyd or Rosedale around here someplace. Well, we don't. Is Floyd still on the floor?
Floyd is locked up. We're going to get to Floyd on a subsequent, but you own Floyd. Here's, what, the Peach Bowl? Yeah, the Peach Bowl. That was a great trophy.
The Peach Bowl. That's one of the more beautiful trophies that we have here. And we're still in the process, because this facility is so new, of locating adequate locations for all of these trophies, so that when people come in, they're going to be impressed. But Floyd or Rosedale, the trophy of the bronze pig, that is really beautiful, and that's the one that is awarded for the winner of the Minnesota-Iowa game.
Floyd's under lock and key. He was eating too much, I understand.
Have you ever tried to pick him up?
I have tried to pick him up.
I think that rascal is pure brass. He weighs close to 200 pounds.
I know it. That's how you get your linemen in here.
Well, one of the fattest pigs I've ever seen.
We'll be back to talk about Michigan State. We hope it's a fat victory right after this. Big Ten opener, Hayden, Michigan State at East Lansing. You really dominated the series. They won only one game from you by 1 point. Boy, this is going to be a tough one Saturday. And you say you're going to have to revise your game plan?
Well, yeah, with Hudson out and Mark Vlasic being a question mark, there's no question we'll have to go back to the drawing board now. But like I say, Jim, playing up in East Lansing is never a lot of fun.
But your Hawks will rise to the occasion.
Well, hopefully. You know, they've got Lorenzo White, Dave Urema, Ingram at a wide receiver, Bobby Morris at fullback. They play a crazy Pittsburgh Steeler type of defense, what we call a twist stunt. They will really be a fine football team against us.
It's going to be a heck of a ball game. You did it last year, the same guys. You can do it again.
Well, I believe that.
Okay. We all do, too.